had a very long day at work, so I'm going to try to make this as informative and useful as possible. After looking at my agenda from last time and seeing where we got to and what things we need to review and maybe spend some time talking about in more detail, I put together an agenda. I sent that out, and I think everyone is starting to log into that. We can have as many people as we want on that agenda. Every single person in the room can be on it. Those of you coordinating in the room, if you wanted to send that agenda out to the people in your room, you could do that. And it's set to anyone with links, so you can just open up the link and you can take a look at what we're doing this afternoon. You're going to see that most of the conversation is going to center around peer review. I know we went through that briefly last time, and then there's going to be some opportunities for us today to start planning it and thinking about it as classroom teachers instead of just someone telling you, hey, this peer review thing is really great. I want us to start thinking about how we're going to implement this next year. What sorts of activities, what sorts of preparation can we put together to make sure our kids are successful and make sure that we have a really good time with it. So we have a couple of interactive activities today like we've done in the past. And I've heard of some feedback that during the presentations, the microphones weren't working, you were speaking, but we couldn't hear you. There's a couple of ways that you can communicate with me, especially if I'm talking and there's a problem like delays or echoes. You can either send me a group chat message from the actual Google Plus Hangout by mousing over your screen and clicking on the chat icon, and it looks like there's someone, yep, just saying hi, Daphne saying hi. And then the other way to do it is you can chat in the agenda. So if you want to have a conversation with me in the agenda, you can do that as well. And then some of the coordinators in the room might have my cell phone. That's a third way to get a hold of me. So there's 3 different ways. Cell phone, you can chat with me in the Google Hangout itself, or you can send a chat through the agenda. So I'm just going to be monitoring the different windows and seeing if there's anyone who needs anything. If you are having some trouble with the following along, or you keep getting kicked out, you can always watch the recorded broadcast, which will just have a delay. And then you won't be able to participate verbally, but you'll be able to do everything else. You'll be able to go on the links and participate with your colleagues. So, okay, so I want to thank you guys. An excellent day of work, I'm sure, and the week we're kind of in the middle here. So we got a couple of days, and then we are done for the week. So thank you guys for all the work you do with your kids. We're going to talk about some great things today that I hope will inspire you and get you thinking. So let's take a look at the agenda. I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen with you and go through the agenda with you as we move on to our activities for the day. So the first thing that we're going to be looking at is the step 2 in the writing process, and that's going to be peer review. I've got a couple of things I would like to share with you on the website, and then we have a collaborative document that's going to take about 15 minutes, maybe a little bit longer, for you guys to build together. And then writing rubrics, we're going to take a look at those, and then we have another activity with the writing rubrics. We have a school-wide challenge for you that I'm going to leave you with today. Then we're going to look at some new updates on Literacy TA. And then we're going to finish, and I will give you time during this session to just complete a short survey. I think there's about 4 or 5 questions. If you guys can do that. Carrie and I have talked about getting feedback from you, and we feel this is the best way to get feedback, is to just give you a quick survey, and that way we can get that information. So we have a quick survey that you will be able to complete in this session. So this is it, the 4 things, very focused. We are ready to go. Just want to check my notes real quickly. It sounds like some people are having some visual issues. If you're having visual issues, it could just be your internet trying to catch up with the feed. Sometimes it catches up and sometimes it doesn't. And then also if there's some skipping, that's also the internet trying to catch up. It's the bandwidth trying to catch up with a live stream. So it's just kind of the new thing in how we do business is hope that we have the right infrastructure to help with the bandwidth. So I think everything is okay. I'm not seeing any major alerts or any problems. So here we go. So last time we talked, the peer review was really the focus, but we talked a lot about getting ready for the writing, and we talked about the different writing plans and the writing paper, and we didn't go into as much detail with peer review. I know I gave you guys an opportunity to talk about it. I gave you an opportunity to discuss with your colleagues how you might use it, but I wanted to go a little bit deeper today and show you some of the resources that we have that go along with the video that some of you have seen. Hopefully all of you have seen it. Where you have a first grade classroom engaging in the peer review, and there's a number of tools that they're using that I want to make sure that you know where they are and that you have access to them. So the first set of tools are the tasks, task cards, and editing marks. So these are our first three tools that we want to make sure that we have access to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and jump over to another screen. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here, which will allow me to then select Literacy TA's website. And when you're on the website, you're going to want to go into the skill library, and you're going to want to go into Writing Center. So Skill Library Writing Center will take you to all the writing tools and resources that we have. And immediately you're going to want to select your grade level. So K1 and 2-3 is what's appropriate for our audience today. I'm going to click on 2-3 and show you that there is the writing process, and then there are activities right next to the 3 steps. And then in K1 it's the same, except your activities are specific to a K1 classroom. So when we talk about the different resources that we have, the first one is the tasks themselves. And to find the tasks, you need to go into peer review groups. So if I click on peer review groups, I'm going to be taken to a number of resources that will help me with peer review. We believe in having a very strict structure for peer review. We want students to be guided through the whole process and have resources to help them so they're successful. I think when you do peer review and you ask kids to do things very loosely and you ask them to do them verbally, many times the students don't do a great job. So we want to get down to the level of every task is called out, every pencil that's used is called out, every station is called out. So I'm talking about our tasks, so I'm going to open this up. And you know, we have a mixed experience in the room. Some of you have used this, some of you haven't, but I think it's a tremendous resource to use anytime your kids are editing their writing or editing anything that you give them, like a practice grammar work or a sentence of the day or a daily message that we talked about last time, which is in our K1 book called Activate. These are the tasks that we want to teach our kids to do. I'm going to be a little bit explicit here so that you can see the difference between what the K1 says and what the 2-3 says. So when we're looking for capital letters, we want the kids to trace the letter. We want them to trace every capital in green, and then we want them to fix the capitals in green. So if they are correct or incorrect, they're going green. Same with ending punctuation. We want them to trace in red or fix in red. Same thing with commas. In the new national standards, commas are the main punctuation mark that are called out. So commas are going to be the focus. Now if I go, just since you're thinking about capital letters, ending punctuation, commas, watch how it changes in 2-3. It's still a task. It's still a list of tasks, but now in 2-3 we don't want them to simply trace them all. We want them only to fix. So instead of going through and finding all the capital letters, because in K1 they're really learning where capital letters exist, they're learning that there are capital letters, they're learning that certain words have them and other words don't, and so here is the big change, is now we don't want them just to identify them, we want them to use green to fix them. We want them to use red to fix punctuation. And now look at the difference. In just 1 year's time, Students have moved from just looking at commas to now using quotation marks, whether they are quoting someone's ideas or someone speaking in a story, and apostrophes. And so we want to insert those with orange. And then in spelling, we want to circle with blue. Here's what's great about the situation you guys are in right now. You guys can start in the K classrooms, and you've got a fully aligned resource where all of you, if you speak the same language, we follow the same colors, we follow the same process, you guys can really start to see some changes with your kids' writing if you commit to using the resources together. So as my grade 1 students move into my grade 2 classroom, they know that I'm going to be fixing capital letters or looking for capital letters with green. They know that I'm going to be looking for ending punctuation in red. So once they've developed that habit, you can build on it and it gets more and more complex. If you guys wanted to, which I encourage you to do, you could go down to 4-5, or sorry, go up to 4-5 and look at what those tasks are. Now with these tasks, we've broken them out into 3 different writing types because they're more sophisticated and they ask them to do more. So if you're teaching opinion specifically, you need to use this task card. And if you're using informational or teaching informative writing, you need to use this one. But it's still the same. We're still asking them to use color. We're still asking them to find ending punctuation, capitalization, spelling, and then it gets more and more advanced and more sophisticated. So these are our tasks. You can put these in your classroom next to your writing stations. You can have these appear in large print anywhere in your classroom so students can reference them at their tables. Or you can make cardstock copies of these and put them in their writing folders. It's very flexible however you want to use it, but we designed it to be a poster. So it's designed to be presented, it's designed to be displayed, it's designed to be visual, and it's designed to be a little colorful for the kids. The accompanying resource is called the task card. So the task cards, and if you want to follow along with me on your mobile devices or if you want to take a look on your own computers, you can do that. Just go to Literacy TA, log in, and then go to Skill Library, and then go to Writing Center, and I'm in peer review right now. On task cards, you open these up, and these are now, you saw these in the video, these are designed to have at every student's table in that station. So if I'm at the capital letters station, this is what students will have in front of them to support them. So this is the 2-3 classroom. So now the students are being reminded of what am I finding, what am I doing, what do I say, right? And then there's some general rules at the bottom to help them check in and say, do I understand this? Is this truly a capital? Does it fit one of these criteria? So these are little reminders or a mini lesson, if you will, for the kids. If you keep going down the PDF, you will find a task card for every station. So this is for spelling. Task card for punctuation. Now the task card is going to reflect the new challenges that we have with punctuation. So as students move into 2nd grade and 3rd grade, they're going to need to be more adept at using commas, quotation marks, and apostrophes. The task card for K1 is only going to have commas, if you remember. The task cards are developed to look the same so that the kids can learn a procedure and learn a routine and nothing throws them off. These get a little bit more wordy only because there's so much more in a 2-3 classroom to learn about writing than there is in a K1. So you're going to find a lot more language down here in the kind of grammar lesson remember to use section than you are going to see in a K1. These can be laminated. If you want to laminate them, you can give one per student if you want. These are great resources. There's 5 of them, so if you wanted to do the whole set, this is what the set would look like. You would do your station rotation. And then if you wanted to post the others, you would have these station descriptions, and those would be on your walls as well if you wanted to blow them up into posters. So we make these as visually appealing as possible and as clear as possible to get the work done, and so students are motivated and inspired by them. They're playful, they're fun, they're interesting, they're great resources for students during peer review. So this is peer review task cards. This is the detail that I didn't get into last time. These are the specifics that I wasn't able to really spend any time on, so I want to make sure we're doing that today. So then the next one is editing marks. So the same is true with the handouts. You can make these into student copies, or you can make them into class copies. They are designed to be visual. They're designed to be colorful and very easy, simple to use. So this is editing marks for 2-3 classroom. There's four marks: capitalize, remove capitals, insert, and then spelling. And then the K-1, very similar. 3 lines for underlining, for capitalization, mark it out for a cap that shouldn't be capitalized, insert, and circle. With these 4 marks, a K-2 classroom to K-3 classroom is fine. You don't need any more marks. In the 4th grade classroom, they need more, so look at this. In a 4th grade classroom, in order to get everything they need to get done, this is what theirs looks like. There's some similarities still coming through, but there's some new ones that they need to know about verb tense, sentence structure, subject-verb agreement. And I know all those things are very important to you in a K2, K3 classroom environment, but we really need to get them to find it in 4th grade. We need to get them to start recognizing these things and fixing them in 4th grade. So they're still editing marks, but they're getting more advanced as kids get older. So this is what I would like us to do with the collaborative activity. And I said it would take us about 15 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and share the activity so you can see it. And then I'm going to ask everyone to jump on board and build out this document so that you guys have a number of resources and ideas. So what I'm going to do is I'm at the agenda, and I'm going to go ahead and click on Collaborative Document, and it's going to take me to this page here. And I'm seeing many people jumping over. I can see all of you up top here coming in. Good, excellent. So what I've developed here for you is routines, frequency, and expectations for work and behavior for each station. So imagine that you are implementing peer review in your classroom for next year or at the end of this year. I know we only have about 5 or 6 weeks left, I think. So that might not be the perfect time to fully implement, but it'd be a good time to experiment. But for going into next year, what are some of the routines? And now notice it says grade K1. So what are some of the routines that you can set up for the capitalization station? For example, maybe use 1 colored pencil at a time. Maybe that's a routine that you want to create at your capitalization station. Frequency, practice using colored pencils maybe once a week. See what I'm getting at? It's that practical piece that only teachers know, that only you experienced teachers can actually come up with and make this work and make it happen. So when we're done with this, you will have a document that is going to give everyone in your district, K-2, all of these ideas for these different routines and stations. Okay. Now you can argue that, well, maybe use one color pencil is a expectation of work and behavior, and I'm okay with that. I'm absolutely okay with that. You could say, well, I'm going to move this over here, and I'm going to put for capitalization routines, practice moving into the, I don't know what you call it, writing center station, whatever you want to call that. Okay. So this is for grade 1, 2, and then down below on the second page we have grades 2, 3. Now this does not have to be on your own. You guys are in a group right now. There's a number of you at each table. I would like you guys to collaborate in your schools, but then share it together in this document. So you're going to work at your tables and say, hey, I'm a second grade teacher, I'm a third grade teacher. I'm going to go ahead and work with my colleagues, and we're going to work, if I'm a second grade teacher, I'm going to work on this document right here, and I'm going to go ahead and try to come up with some routines and some frequencies and some expectations, while someone else in another school who's also a second grade teacher or a team of teachers are going to work on this one at the exact same time. You guys can chat with each other using the chat feature, or you can just kind of wing it and type around each other and work around the document. At the same time, the grades K-1 are going to be doing the same thing. The goal of this, in about 15 minutes, is to have a number of practical things you can do with your grade level that can make this work happen. Because the number one concern that you should have, and most teachers do, is that students don't do peer review very well. Students can't sit for long periods of time. Students can't focus enough. Students can't. I want to come up with things that work. I know that there are procedures that work. Let's get that done. I'm going to give you about 15 minutes, and then I'm going to send my little noise signal out to you, and that's going to indicate to you that it is time to stop conversation, stop working on the document, and we're going to move on. So you're going to hear a trumpet or a sound, and that's your clue that we are moving on. So feel free, jump in there, start typing, probably talking first, and then get some ideas on these documents. If you have any questions, you can ask me, come up to the screen, click the microphone, or you can type in the chat and I'll try to get to you.
Is it still view only? Jonathan, we're having trouble here at North Chatham getting in. It seems to be view only.
Okay, sorry, let me change that.
Thank you.
All right, sorry about that. Can you guys try it one more time? Yay, okay, perfect. I just want to check in with you guys. Just to maybe we'll do. I was thinking 15, but it looks like many of our schools have put in their information. So let's just take another 2 minutes. So 2 more minutes to get your thoughts down. This document's looking amazing. So thank you for all your ideas and hard work. Um, we'll do about 2 minutes and move on to our next discussion. nicely done. You guys did a great job giving a number of wonderful ideas. Just going through, reading what you guys are writing, trying to clean it up a little bit with my little makeshift bullets. Excellent. This work is so hard for us at so many levels, and it depends on what class you have, and it depends on how skilled those kids are. So as much information that we can get from each other, the better. And this work causes us to really read the material, which also presented a couple of challenges for me. There was a couple of inconsistencies with some handouts, and it's hard when you have so many colors with so many different grade levels. So there was a couple of inconsistencies that I'll fix as soon as we're done with this session today. But it's good to find those. It's good to pick them out. That means that they're being used. It means that they're being looked at. It means that they're being analyzed. So that's good. So this document lives. The agenda I'll never delete. I will always keep it up. So when you guys get back to your classrooms or tonight, if you want to look at this document again and print it out, it's a great resource to have. All you need to do to find it again is to go back to the agenda and then click on the link that says collaborative activity, and this will pop up. So this is a good document to have. I appreciate your time with this, and I hope that it was at least a useful conversation to have with your colleagues when talking about how to do this, because it does take work. I'm going to give you a few pieces of insight that we've learned on our end. Number one, all of your instincts to run routines one at a time is really important. So teaching students to work on capitalization first, and then once they get good at that, move on to punctuation, and then start adding capitalization and punctuation together is excellent. Your instincts to have that work embedded into a daily routine, like a grammar routine and a daily message, activate, whatever you're using, that's also very, very good. Think about it how it doesn't have to happen in English or in the reading part of your day. This kind of work can happen during science. This work can happen during history or social studies. That's one of the things that I don't know if we can step back and go, oh, that's true. I didn't realize that when I'm teaching science, I can still have my kids work on grammar in during the science part. It doesn't have to be a separate section, especially as kids move up into the upper grades. They're going to need to be better readers and writers of history and of science, so they need that practice. Other things, a couple of you put practice moving in and out of groups. Very, very important. Have a routine for moving. Practice moving. One of the things that one of our teachers at Literacy TA uses, which I love, is she has all of her students stand at attention, then they point. So you see this in the video. They point to the next station so the teacher can quickly assess if students know exactly where they're going. And then once everyone is pointing in the direction they need to be headed in, she releases them and then they go. It's that little subtle step. Instead of just saying move and they're like ants running all over the place and sometimes bumping into each other and going the wrong area, getting a visual to see where they're thinking, where they're headed, really good strategy. Having them look at each other's eyes and say hello before they start, another way to get them to focus, another way to get them to think about their other partner instead of just themselves. Really, really good strategies to use when teaching students how to do this work independently. A couple of you had some check-ins as well. You said, I would like the students to come check in with me so I can check their work, make sure they're doing it correctly. That's great. And I think with this peer review, you're going to be able to hover around and kneel down when necessary and talk to individual pairs and guide them if they need guidance, or give them stickers if you want to motivate them or stamp their work. This is all things that you can do because you're free now. You're free to move about the cabin, if you will, Southwest. You're free to move, and so you can address different parts of the class. You can help those students who are struggling. You can go to the area that's the hardest part. Like, this is the hardest station. Okay, you're free to go over to that station and really camp there and let kids go through your station if you want to sit and help them at that location. Okay, so we've got that. Let's move on to the next part, which is writing rubrics. This one's going to go a little bit quicker. Basically, I wanted to let you guys know that we have writing rubrics. Those of you who are using them, you know exactly where they are. Those of you who haven't seen them yet, I'm going to show you real quickly. where to find them. So you're going to go to you can go to Literacy TA, and then they're not in the peer review because that's not who's assessing. They're actually going to be in the writing plan itself. So if I go into K-1 and the Writing Center, and I go into my different writing types, I'm going to click on opinion writing, and then in this section there's going to be a rubric for opinion writing, and there's a rubric for language, and these are both aligned to the College and Career Readiness Standards. So if you want to use these rubrics, maybe just for yourself as you're assessing students and giving you some point of reference to see, are they getting it, are they not getting it, this would be something great. But then as part of the agenda, I also question, do kids even understand what these rubrics are? And a lot of elementary school teachers kind of shy away from rubrics because they think the kids don't quite get them. And that's okay. I understand that. I completely understand that for a K-1 classroom. But is it powerful is what I want you to think about. Is it powerful to engage students in that thinking? And I'm going to give you an example of that. If you guys look at the agenda, I have a question about how do we engage students in the assessment process, and how do we get them to see our rubrics as something meaningful, okay? So if you click on that link and go to the activity, and I have made it editable so you can go and edit in there. If you follow that link over, I've given you an example. I'm the San Diego school. I've given you an example. So if I'm teaching my kids how to color capitals with green, and I'm teaching them how to color punctuation with red, I'm teaching them all these things. What's the point? I know they want to please you. That's true. But is there anything beyond that? Is there anything, how does my score on my report that you send home, or you sit with my mom and talk to her about, how does that translate into the actual work I'm doing in the classroom? So here's an example. You can show your kids how peer-reviewed tasks, the individual 5 stations, relate to the rubric. So you can say, guys, this is what I use to see if you are writing at the level I need you to write. And see in this box right here where it says uses capitals some of the time, uses capitals most of the time, uses capitals all the time, I'm looking to see if you know how to capitalize the beginning of your sentences. What this station does is it teaches you how to look for capitals. It teaches you, and so you can kind of have that conversation as one idea in doing this. So I wanted to give you guys a minute or two of space, and you can just jot down your school and your idea. How can we bridge rubrics that we use to evaluate our students to the work that they're doing in the classroom to make them relevant? Because I have found as an educator, rubrics are rarely relevant to kids because I don't bring them into the classroom and talk about them. I secretly take them home and I use them and I turn them into kids. But I don't really bring up that conversation. Let's list a few ideas on this document. Mm-hmm. Take about 30 more seconds. Mhm. Mhm.
Oh God, I can't stand this. Ugh.
Your mic's on. Careful. That was fun. Okay, as we finish up here, I want to go back to the agenda. I do want to respect your time. We did start a few minutes late, but I want to make sure that we have an opportunity to do our survey. The last 2 points are quick, real quick talking points. One is a school-wide challenge. Number 3 on the agenda. I want to challenge you guys to make a commitment to go all in. And once I get my materials right and the colors are all jiving and coordinated, I want to see in your K-2 classrooms writing process posters so that the language is consistent as they move from class to class. I want to see writing types, if you guys can agree to that. And I want to see writing tasks in posters on your walls. Now, I know you have your own programs. I was seeking clarification on red words or what was it that you guys were calling? I think it was something about red words or red vocabulary. There may need to be some tweaks, and I'm completely open to that. I'm not about moving you away from things that your kids do well. I want kids to succeed no matter what. But if there is an opportunity, I want to see these posters in your rooms, and here's why. If the posters are in your rooms, your kids can always go back to them. They can learn from them, and you are held more accountable because you see them and you're reminded, oh yeah, that's right, I'm supposed to be doing this in blue, I'm supposed to be doing this in green. I need to be practicing every day on capitals. I need to be showing my kids apostrophes. So by putting the posters in your room, it kind of reminds you that this is the kind of work that I feel is important in this class. And if we want to take our young students and turn them into young writers, the way to do that is a very focused approach in teaching writing. And we are not a scripted program. Literacy TA is not going to tell you what prompt to give, what to say with that prompt, how to say it, and we've lost business because of it. But we believe in the teacher, and we believe in empowering teachers, and we believe that if you give them the right structure, the framework, that kids will be successful. And we offer a framework that works. We offer a framework that kids can really excel and do spectacular, amazing things. But there needs to be some commitment to it. It can't just be like, yeah, we try it in a couple of classes. It needs to be, what are we going to commit to? So my thought was, and maybe it wasn't a good thought, is to get these posters up on your walls, blow them up nice and big. If you need to go to a Kinko's or a FedEx Kinko's and get them copied, and you need me to write a letter of approval so you can get them in color because there's copyright on the bottom of them, I'll do whatever it takes. But it's time now to start outfitting our classrooms to get really serious about writing. We have our word walls, great. We have our different routines, great. But we need some structures in there. And I know you have them, and they're kind of here and there, but they're not uniform. It's probably not K-2, every classroom, same type of posters, grade appropriate. They're just like, I teach writing and I do this, I teach writing and I do that. And that's great, but think about your kids and how much better they can grow together if there's some consistency. So that's one challenge I have for you, and you guys can take that challenge, or you can toss it in the trash on your way out. Number 4 on the agenda, I just wanted to give you an update. We've added 20 new prompts for the K-1 classroom. So there's much more leveled down language. I said last time you can level it yourself. I went ahead and I leveled a bunch of prompts, specifically 20 of them, so that you can use in the classroom. So that's a cool update in the prompt builder, and you can go ahead and go there through that link. And the last thing I ask you guys to do is just take the survey. It's short, but it's going to give me and Carrie a lot of good information. And I'm serious with the last question. What can we do that would help you teach writing? And I will give every consideration to include that on our website if it's reasonable. If you want specific things, I will do my best to try to produce those things for you, and that you can so that you can have them when you're teaching your students. So the way the survey works, if you guys can just try it for me, is you click on it and it should open up into a Google form, and that Google form should be editable, and you just fill it out. If you don't want to give your name, I've left that as an option, but you do need to put your school name. That's not an option. And then if you can go ahead and fill out the fields, I'd greatly appreciate it, and then press submit, and I'm going to collect that data, and I'm going to reflect on that data, and I will share it with Carrie, and then we will have our next meeting in about a month. It goes that fast. So, as always, oh, it says you need permission to open. What? Okay, hold on a second. Okay, try it one more time. That's why I wanted to stay on and make sure. And can someone give me feedback if it's allowing you to go in? Not working still? Let me try to put a new link on. See if the link is bad. Working on it. Okay, try the link again. No. Huh.
Jonathan, here at North Chatham, it's not working. It says we need permission to get in.
Yeah, I changed the permissions. I don't know. Oh, hold on a second.
Maybe refresh.
Okay, I think I just fixed it.
Maybe try refreshing again and see if it works. Now it's working.
Yeah, there was a checkbox. Sorry about that. There was a small checkbox that said, "Don't allow anyone to use this form." That's not good. Okay, so it's working. So as you guys finish that, I will depart. Thank you guys. I look forward to seeing you hopefully this summer, if that's possible. And again, continue the great work. Email me anytime you have a question, concern, comment, you want to share a success story. Continue reading eCoach, and have a great couple of weeks until we meet again. So thank you guys. Unless you need anything, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.